Welcome to the Tennis Warehouse racket review of the Prince Phantom 100X 305. Updated to a cool camo cosmetic and new technologies, the Phantom 100X 305 is ideal for players looking for controllable, comfortable power. With an RA under 60 and a strung weight at 11.4 ounces, this racket swings explosively fast and now has Textreme with Zylon for enhanced stability and feel. It also features the CTS beam construction with an ultra-thin 18mm shaft for feel and a thicker cross-section in the head that measures at 22mm for added stability and power. Based on the stiffness rating alone, this racket falls a little outside of my wheelhouse. I do tend to like rackets that are a bit on the stiffer side of things, so I'm gonna start with the positives of this playtest. I was able to playtest this racket alongside of the 320-gram 100X that has the 18x20 string bed, so that was really fun to be able to compare these two. What I loved about this one was it was easy to access tons of depth and easy spin from the baseline, really flawless swinging, explosive through the ball. However, I did find the sweet spot to be a little bit hot and cold, and it felt a little lower in the string bed for what I personally like. The 1820 felt a little more solid in my hands and a little more dialed in, a tiny bit more swing weight on that one. To compensate that, I would probably ask Troy to help with some customization, but I also would string a poly a bit tighter, much tighter, to match my personal preferences and kind of get that boardy feel in the string bed. Where I absolutely loved this racket was at the net. I felt really dialed in when going after my volleys. I didn't find as much touch, but that really isn't my game, so no worries there. And on serves, it was really fun to, again, use that access to spin that this racket had. It's noticeably a more open pattern, obviously, than the 1820, but I really could appreciate it on serves. All in all, a really fun playtest. I think this is a great platform for a player like me that does tend to like those stiffer, heavier rackets, and a great one that I'm gonna have fun customizing.
Coming right off of Michelle's comments, we have very different games and swing styles. So where she was finding lots of easy power and depth, for me, it was a little bit harder to come by, but I really loved the feel. I like those flexible rackets, so I really enjoyed the comfort of this racket, especially in the sweet spot. I could really feel the ball pocketing, and I liked how the ball would kind of trampoline out and give me good depth. However, for me, if I was missing the sweet spot, I was having some issues with the power levels. I don't swing as big as Michelle does, so outside of the sweet spot, I did notice my balls falling a little bit shorter. So I personally would probably string this racket a little bit lower than we had for this playtest in an effort to open up that sweet spot. At the net, I really appreciated the mobility, and again, loved the feel right in that sweet spot. Good comfort, as well as there was giving me some opportunity to try some touch, and I did hit some good drop shots. When it came to starting points off, I preferred to return with this racket. I did find it to come around my body pretty easily, and again, really loved that feel in the sweet spot. It's just so comfortable, and I loved the pocketing, and I felt like I was confident enough to direct my shots to different areas of the court. Overall, although I do love that feel and the pocketing that this racket offers, my own Prince Tour 100P is a better fit for my game for the added power.
I was on the playtest of the previous iteration of this Phantom 100X 305, and I can safely say if you are a fan of that racket, it should be an easy transition into this update. For me, there was just a small change in feel. I thought it felt a little bit more solid and stable feeling. Now, the main feature of this racket that the other playtester had mentioned is the flexible feel. It is a super flexible racket. For me, when I was hitting in the sweet spot, man, did I get some power. I felt like the ball really sank into the string bed and then trampolined out. However, the string bed is a little bit on the smaller side, and so when I did hit outside of it, there was a noticeable drop in power. Now, when it came to hitting on the baseline, I did have an adjustment period to that feel and getting used to everything, and I thought it was a little bit more on the control side versus power. The highlights for me, which I don't say often, was my slice and my volleys. Now, slice is not my strong suit, but I do hit it when I have to be on the defense, and I was hitting some great defensive slices. They were saying low and penetrating, so much so that I started to incorporate some offensive slices because they were just so much fun to hit. Similar story with volleys. I found I was really carving the ball well, hitting some more shorter angle, kind of being more creative with my volleys, almost having just a little bit more fun. Had some great pickups as well. Now on serve, for me, this is where I noticed the lack in power the most. I found myself mostly hitting slice serves. I could utilize some of the great spin there was, but mostly slice serves to the body or maybe a little bit out wide to pull my opponent off the court. On return, this is where I thought that stable fill really shone through, especially compared to the 290 gram that I'm also playtesting as well. The racket felt just a little bit more stable on contact, especially when I was returning some bigger serves back. Overall, this is a really unique playing racket. I think players that are looking for a flexible, comfortable feel should check it out. And that wraps up our playtest on the West Coast. I'm gonna toss it over to our East Coast location. Jofi, what did you think of the Prince Phantom 100X 305?
Thanks, Brittany. I actually came into this playtest having heard so many amazing things about the Prince Phantom line, but never actually trying them. And I was super excited to get on court and see what they were about. And I'll be honest, I absolutely fell in love with the new Prince Phantom 100X 305. When I first started hitting with this racket, the first thing that stood out to me is just how plush it felt on the baseline. This is definitely a soft racket, as most of the Phantom rackets are. So if that's what you're looking for, you'll be happy with this one for sure. The racket did seem a bit low-powered for me, and noticed that my shots were landing kind of short around the service line. So I had to go in and adjust my shots a little bit, which I did by mostly adding a bit more spin on my balls, just to make them land a bit deeper on court. I actually did like that the racket was so low-powered because it allowed me to kind of hit all out and just have fun with how hard I could hit the ball, but yet maintain that control. Another thing I actually really loved about this racket is the amazing spin potential it had. I was kind of surprised by how much it really helped me with generating the spin on my shots. The racket does have kind of a higher launch angle, so I had to keep that in mind when I was playing. But actually I was able to really tap into that and utilize that to generate that spin and make my balls really land deeper in the court with that. When it comes to control, I had absolutely no complaints. I thought the racket was really, really good for control. I had a great sense of where my shots are going. Especially on slices, I really enjoy hitting slices. They felt so plush and comfortable, and I was still able to manage to keep my balls kind of low to the ground. All in all, I think that fans of the Phantom line will absolutely love this one. But if you're a player like me who never really played with Phantom rackets, you should definitely check this out, give it a go, and you will be surprised by how amazing this time-tested technology of this iconic brand is. Thanks for watching. We strung up this Prince 100X 305 with Prince Vortex Triad and Prince Tour XC at around 52 pounds. For more information on this racket or any others, please go check out Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe, or Tennis Only.